everyone. Welcome back to Kinder Coach, where I discuss all things early literacy and the science of reading. I'm Audrey. I'm a former classroom teacher turned reading interventionist and tutor, and I'm here to help parents and teachers who work with our youngest learners get them off to a great start on their reading journey through the use of proven research-based reading strategies. Today's video is all about blending. So blending is simply combining individual sounds to form words. Before we get to the blending process, I want to give you a few prerequisites or skills that children should have already been working on or learned before we get to teaching them how to blend those sounds. So first, we want to make sure that our children are using the correct letter sounds. My previous video was all about how to produce the correct letter sounds for your kiddos. So if you didn't watch that, you can jump back and take a look at that. Basically, we don't want to add any extra sounds, such as an sound. When we're saying letters such as B, we don't want to say ba, we want to say b. So again, you can jump back and watch that. I don't want to spend any more time on that right now in this video. But that's the first thing. Make sure that they are producing the correct sounds. And the second thing is you want to make sure that your student is familiar with all of the letter sounds that you are about to use or blend together. For example, if you have been working on the letters A and T, you don't want to have your students blending, C-A-N, because they don't know those sounds. They're not familiar with those sounds yet, and that is going to make it very, very difficult for them to blend them. So if you've been teaching the letters A and T, you want to blend those specific letters together. This is going to make the process run more smoothly, and it's just going to give your kiddos that confidence that they need to start blending sounds. So once these skills have been established, you want to get your kiddos blending as soon as possible. I also have a previous video on which letter sounds to introduce first, and I discussed using the most common letter sounds. That was one way to do it. But I also stressed the importance of introducing a vowel sound right off the bat so that your kids have at least one consonant and one vowel to work with. This is why I recommend that, because we want to get these kiddos blending as soon as possible, because that gives reading a purpose. That gives learning these letter sounds a purpose. We're not just saying, okay, we're going to learn all these letter sounds. That doesn't really tell them much, right? Okay, now we've learned these letter sounds. Here's why. We're going to put them together and we're going to read words, and you get them really excited about reading. This is going to motivate them and give them a purpose, and it's going to help build their confidence when they realize that they can already read some words. So before I show you some activities to use to teach your children how to blend sounds, we want to make sure that they have a strong foundation in phonological and phonemic awareness, so the ability to distinguish between sounds in words. I have a whole video about phonological and phonemic awareness, what the difference is, what these terms mean, and how to approach them with your children. So if you missed that video, you may want to go back and get a refresher if you're not familiar with those terms, or if you just need to hear them again as a little reminder. So now that we've established all those prerequisites, let's jump right into teaching our kiddos how to blend sounds and read words. So the first activity that I like to use when my little ones are first learning how to blend is called an Elkonin box or a sound box. These are very simple. You can buy them or you can make them out of a lot of different things. So I have a dry erase board here. We're going to keep it very simple with a dry erase board and a marker. So we've learned the letters A and T and the sounds A and T. No letters yet, but here are the boxes. Pretty simple, right? Two boxes because we are going to work with two sounds. Okay, so since we're not using letters, we're going to need some sort of manipulative to use to represent these sounds. I like to use these little magnets. You can use whatever you prefer. If you're not using a magnetic board, and they're doing this on a table, you can use bingo chips or just any little tiles to slide up into these boxes. So let's do the first sound. Our first sound is ah. Say ah, ah. First sound is ah. Our next sound is t, t, t. Good. T, t. Let's move them back down. Let's put those sounds together. At, at, at. Good. The word is at. And you're going to do this several times until you get a good feeling that your kiddo is understanding this. Okay? Now, the way you would do this with letters, it is the same process, but instead of just using a manipulative, you're going to use the actual letters underneath to represent the sounds. So, same process. What sound does this letter spell? Good. A spells ah, ah. What does this letter spell? Good. T spells t, t, t. At, at, at. Very good. So it's the same process. You're just using actual letters in with your boxes. So for an added component, because we want to make sure we're adding in spelling and writing as well when they're learning to blend. So I have some sheets here that I like to use. I did not create these. Here's one of them. You're going to look at the picture. I have picture cards that I show the students. For example, there could be a picture of a cat when we're doing CVC words. You're going to tap the sounds out, use either manipulatives or alphabet letters in these squares, and then they're going to write the letters. We would only use 2 right now for this example of at. If we were to add the k on, we do the same process and make it at. One letter and sound for each box at this point. I also like to use Play-Doh with these. I would put 3 little balls of Play-Doh, or in this case 2, I'm sorry, 2 for the word at, and they would squish it as they say the sounds. So at, and then they squish it together, at, and then you break it apart and you continue to do the same thing. Let me show you what I mean by tapping. This is actually a principle from the Orton-Gillingham method, and you're going to use your fingers to tap out the sounds at, at. And this is just another multi-sensory way of doing it. And so if you have 3 letters, k, at, cat, okay? So that's what I mean when I say tapping. This one's a little more complex. You can actually use a pop-it with this one to pop the sounds, and the kiddos have a lot of fun with this. But it's the same concept. You're going to tap it with your fingers, whoops, right there. Pop it on the pop-it, map it, which means add the letters in, and then they even can spell it at the bottom. So it would have the word at, they would sound it out, they would use the letters, and then they would actually write the word. This is a great way to integrate writing with your reading instruction. And again, I did not create these. This one came from Hello Literacy, if you want to check that out. And I'll have to look up the other one because I'm not sure where it came from. All right, another thing that you can do is a letter jump or a sound jump. So if we're just dealing with sounds, you're going to put a circle on the floor to represent each sound, or it can even be a piece of construction paper, anything that you have. So for the word at, we are going to put 2 pieces of construction paper, single file, and then 2 together at the end. So you're going to have 1 piece, 2 pieces. And that is because your student is going to hop on one leg as they say ah, Hop on one leg as they say t, and then hop on both feet as they say at. So this is also a great way for our little ones to work on their gross motor skills because it's hard for them to jump on one leg sometimes. So you're working that in as well. Again, if you have letters added to the mix already, I have large foam letters that I like to use for them to jump on at, or you can just write the letters onto the construction paper or whatever letters you happen to have around that are big enough for them to see and either jump onto or jump beside if you don't want them landing directly on them. So that's another great way to practice blending. I also like to use these magnetic tiles. Most teachers have these in their classrooms. A lot of children have them at home because they like to build houses with them. They're just magnetic tiles that come apart. You can build different things, but I like to use these for blending. So before you add the letters, let me wipe off my board here. You can take these two tiles and you can either put them on a board, and then squeeze them together for at where they connect. You don't have to use a board. You can just use your hands. So you could do at. And when you add letters in, you can actually use a dry erase marker to write the letters on at, like that. And then just erase it right off. Okay. Another fun thing is to know your students, know your children, and what their interests are. If they're interested in dinosaurs, you can do this with a dinosaur. I have a little truck here because I have some students who love trucks. So what you're going to do is you're going to use the same concept of your El Conan box. Let's do a 3-letter word now. Let's say that we are blending the word cat. And we've already done it with just sounds. So we're adding our letters into the mix. Now they'll do this on their desk or table. I'm just trying to show you using it this way. So they'll start the truck at the first letter. At. And then they're going to blend it fast. Cat. Now, if you're feeling adventurous, you can have them actually roll it to see where it ends up. Or you can just remind them that we're going to keep our hand on the truck as we roll it quickly. You could have a dinosaur hop at and then run cat. A cat. Anything will work for this. So these are just some fun activities that you can use with your little ones when you're teaching them to blend those sounds together. Now there are different methods of blending that I will not discuss in this video, but I plan on doing another video to discuss things such as successive blending, onset rhyme, things of that nature. That's a little more advanced, so I will do another video about that. I hope you found this helpful. Please be sure to like and subscribe and share with anyone that you think could use this video for some help. As always, it's a pleasure to be here and happy reading.